I started a spirit of justice where I just made the dumb mistake and I'm still mad at myself. What are you doing? It's the first cross exam. I just gotta calm. I was impulsive. I jumped right into the evidence and I was like, I bet it's this. Didn't even consider the other evidence. I just need to think calmly. I was just panicking. I need to calm down. I need to deep breath and force my biggest smile because otherwise I'm gonna make another stupid mistake before long. I just know it. But we started what I believe to be the final trial in the game, so we can still make it. Just calm down. Calm the goddamn hell down. Your Eminence, I'm afraid this trial will not go exactly as you anticipated, because I can show how there might have been a third party in that tomb. Oh, how very fascinating. Go on. I do so love a good fairy tale. I bet, with talk of Maleficent and everything. We did a luminol test at the crime scene, and we found a bloodstain that didn't match the Justice Minister's blood. I will remind you that neither Dirk nor Miss Faye were injured during the incident. The thing is, this bloodstain we found had been wiped up by someone. What's this? But who would have done such a thing? Yes. And this is a less common thing, luminol testing in Khura'In, so we can assume Garan wouldn't necessarily have known of it. Although she might have been following more recent trials enough to know about it. Who would have done such a thing? That's the big question, isn't it? Who wiped up the blood and why? Thinking about it logically, it must be someone who wanted to conceal their presence at the scene of the crime. Really, once we got the blood, we should be able to just test it and find out who it is, right? The trial should not be allowed to continue until we do that. Well, Garon's rules, of course, but... Oh? And to whom do you suppose the bloodstain might belong? The bloodstain belongs to the real killer, of course. Whoever it was, they were probably shot while they were attacking Minister Inga. And since their blood would give them away, they had to wipe it up. I say this because we know for a fact that the Justice Minister fired his gun in the tomb. Objection! You have the memory of a flea. There was nowhere for anyone to hide. This, too, is a known fact. Objection! But a bloodstain from a third party means there must have been someone hiding there. Very well, then. Tell me this. Where was this third party hiding? Crime scene was thoroughly searched after it was discovered. So if there was a hiding place, it would have had to be somewhere no one would dare look. Sarcophagus. Sorry, I was jumping ahead of it. Somewhere no one would dare look. Let's have your answer defense. Now, where could a third party have hidden? That would be right there, your majesty. Take that! There's one place no one would search, not even the Queen's Royal Guard. And that would be... Brr. Inside... Oh, I thought I was going to do the slam noise. Inside Queen Amara's sarcophagus. Even now, it's locked up tight. No one would find you if you hid in there. I'm told that it's temperature controlled to preserve the mummy within. But if someone dressed warmly enough, they could withstand the cold for a short time. This is sacrilege! Surely the perpetrator of such a foul deed would be cursed! But that's just it. The killer knew everyone would be too scared to open the sarcophagus. True. The guards were so scared of being cursed, they wouldn't even touch it. And this is how Queen Amara's actual aliveness is gonna get out. And surely if we are thinking that Garan is the actual killer and she hid in there, then that kind of sacrilege and the concealing of Amara's actual aliveness status will probably be enough to get her kicked out of office, so to speak. True, the guards were so scared of being cursed, they wouldn't even touch it. And when the coast was clear, the killer made a quick escape from within the frigid confines. Well now, that does sound like a plausible method of evading capture. The defense requests a DNA test on the bloodstain, and then we'll see just who the real killer is. Such insolence! Bow your head and kneel, lawyer. So your head may be parted from your shoulders. Huh? But the trial's not even over! Ah! How soon you forget. You are already on the headsman's scaffold. As such, I could order your beheading at any moment. Wait, I am? Why? All I did was request a DNA test. There is no need to request such a test. Royal Guard, bring it forth now. Here you are, your eminence! The police have already identified the source of the bloodstain. The DNA test revealed that the blood is of the traitor Dirk Sadmadi. What? But Dirk wasn't injured. So where did his blood come from? Maybe he coughed it up? Dirk's illness. Still, there was a lot of blood. Could he have really coughed up that much? And did he wipe it up to hide his failing health? Dirk, is it really that bad? Do you believe this DNA test? Oh, shoot. They got me. Wait, what? Ah! Come on, dude! It was actually yours? Well, that's not great. Pay attention, Horned Devil, for this case has already been solved. You claimed that this bloodstain would lead us to the real killer, did you not? About that, Did you or did you not make that claim of your own volition, Defense? Yes, I did. After she steered you in that direction, that is. I fell right into her trap. Do you see now the folly in opposing the very embodiment of the law? Whatever you say or do shall come to no avail. A third party at the scene of the crime? Huh, it's beyond the realm of possibility. No! Praise be for Queen Khura'In! That seems pretty weird. Why would Dirk hide that from us? Her and his legal tactics are beyond compare! I hate to say this, but she really got us good. The key to Amara's sarcophagus. I mean, she didn't get us that good. She led me to that after a while. I was going about the sarcophagus first and kind of going all over the place, and she didn't disprove the fact that Inga's fired his gun at someone, and we still have this fingerprint to check. Anyway, the key to Amara's sarcophagus is under the protection of the royal family. Ah, you shouldn't have said that. My husband and I are the only ones who could open it. Oh, you really shouldn't have said that. Therefore, it would be impossible for some knave to open it. Who's leading who now? You just led yourself into that one. Can I really discount the sarcophagus as a hiding place, though? What if the real killer is still in there? No, that's just ridiculous. Well, she said it was temperature controlled. We don't know how cold. I believe we have rebels and sympathizers in the gallery today. It is to you I speak. Have you been listening? Urga'id Mahdi, the one who proclaimed a bloodless revolt, has betrayed your cause by resorting to murder. No, it can't be. Dirk would never. There must be some kind of mistake. The Defiant Dragons and their sympathizers are starting to have doubts. So this is why Khura'In allowed us to cross-examine Dirk. By establishing his guilt in Inga's murder, she's effectively damaged his reputation among those who support him. True, but now we have an even bigger problem. And now, filthy lawyers, you will honor your end of the bargain. Accept your guilty verdict for your failure to explain your client's actions. I don't remember agreeing to that. You said it, and then I was just kind of like, and then carried on. Huh? Now, I shall pass judgment upon the criminal Urga'id Mahdi. But watch this? You shall pass judgment? But your eminence, is that not my role? Hold your tongue. You are but a figurehead before me, the embodiment of the law. Consider yourself dismissed. As Queen of Khura'In, I shall now pass judgment upon the accused. Guilty! Is Rafa going to object? That would be unbelievably kick-ass if Rafa objected.
Objection!
Objection! Wait! You didn't even give me a chance to rebut! Know when you are defeated, lawyer. But just this once, I'm willing to show you the depths of my compassion. Tell me why I should allow these proceedings to continue. Come, convince me. Quick, Apollo. Even if you have to bluff, we've got to keep this trial going. Sure that the crime could have been committed by a third party. How am I supposed to do that? Why don't you start with, how about the timing of Inga's murder? What? This whole case is built on a single premise, that Inga was murdered after Dirk entered the tomb. But what if that's not true? Like if our assumptions are all wrong? Oh, shoot! Because of course you could fake the body being killed at a different time with the sarcophagus is super cold. I can't believe I didn't think of that earlier. Like if our assumptions are all wrong? It just might work. Oh, well, don't keep us waiting, defense. I thought you were fired. Dirk became the prime suspect because it didn't seem probable that there was a third party at the scene of the crime. But there's another question we should ask ourselves at this time. Was Minister Inga really killed after Dirk entered the tomb? What nonsense is this? Setting aside the assumption that the murder occurred after Dirk arrived on the scene, opens up the possibility of a third party committing the crime. The question before us is, when was Minister Inga really killed after the body was found after Dirk entered the tomb before Dirk entered the tomb? Presumably, and the sarcophagus was used to make it seem at a different time. Isn't it possible that before Dirk even set foot in the tomb, Minister Inga was already dead? And if you were to put him in the cold thing, it would slow the decomposition such that it would seem like he would only just been killed when he was taken out.
That would certainly make the possibility of a third party more probable. Well, of course. I fell unconscious right after I entered the tomb. Even if I hadn't, I wouldn't have had a clear line of sight to his body from the entrance. Which means...
You wouldn't have noticed his body either way. This scenario is entirely possible, and so we can't rule out the possibility of a third person committing the crime.
I see. Well, that certainly does make sense.
So far, so good. This might actually work. She's gonna pull up the autopsy, of course. Very well. I shall play along with whatever little game you have knocking around in that tiny mind. I was starting to get quite bored of all this. I could do with a distraction. Yes. Let us hear some testimony that will shed light on when exactly the minister was slain. Bailiff, summon Rafa. Surely she has recovered by now? Really?
But what about me? Don't I serve a purpose anymore? I hope you are feeling better, Your Benevolence.
Must I perform the divination seance?
What? Oh, no. We merely require your testimony this time.
How can my testimony be of any value?
Your Benevolence?
Princess Rafa seems awfully depressed. After what she's been through, summoning her again is like rubbing salt in the wound. Being unable to perform the seance was probably the last straw. I hope she doesn't pass out again. Prosecutor Sadmari, may I ask you something? Of course, Your Benevolence. I've been meaning to ask you this since yesterday. Did you know about Queen Amara? And... about me? From where did you hear such a thing? From Mother. And only yesterday. Rafa was carrying on about telling the truth to the people, so I told her. I told her what the truth really was. For it is up to a mother to discipline her child. I see. Be that as it may, Your Benevolence, it has no bearing upon our trial here today, so there is no need to let it trouble you. I know. Ron told Rafe about something other than Mamara's status. Sounds like it, but what could it be? Rafa, the defense has proposed something preposterous. They somehow think your father was already dead when Dirk entered the tomb. But I believe you can prove them wrong. Are you prepared to do what is required of you? Yes. I am ready to testify. Is she gonna lie, I guess?
Very well then, Your Benevolence, your testimony, if you please.
So when Khura'In was talking to her yesterday, she also threatened her into testifying, falsifying some kind of testimony here. Oh boy, this is gruesome.
Witness testimony, what Rafa witnessed.
On the day of the murder, I was gazing upon the courtyard from my second floor veranda. Around 2:30 p.m., I saw my father heading for Amara's tomb. Then at about 2:45, I saw Barbed Head and Company enter the courtyard. I saw no one go in or out of the tomb after my father entered at about 2:30. Your second floor veranda. Oh, she must be talking about that house facing Inga's private residence. We sure as shootin' didn't see her there, though. So that's the location from which you saw your father? And at about 2:30? And you never saw Dirk? Or she, well, no, I mean, she's saying Dirk came with us, I guess, but she said no one came in or out, and Dirk did go in after that. She's being a little vague there. Yes, and shortly after that, you people arrived at the royal residence.
So after the minister entered Amara's tomb at around 2:30, no one went in or out of there until the murder was discovered.
The tomb is closed to outsiders, so no one could have snuck in before the murder. That rules out any possibility of a third party lying in wait to slay my poor husband. Or so she'd like us to believe. Now hear me, you useless lawyer. Cease this charade and bow before me. For I, Queen Khura'In, shall finally have your head!
Forgive me, Your Eminence, but first let us allow the defense to question the witness.
Thank you, Your Majesty.
Cross-examination. What Rafa witnessed.
On the day of the murder, I want to just push on everything here, probably, because I didn't... Well, let me just think about it for a minute. shut my stupid mouth and think. I'm sure we have some information about that time period that I'm just sort of forgetting about. We have to presume that, don't know why I started the sentence like that. I don't imagine that, nope, I don't know what I'm talking about. Sorry. Trying to multitask, it's not going well. Either way, I better push on everything first because I didn't notice any glaring contradictions. Let me just read again. On the day of the murder, I was gazing upon the courtyard from my second floor veranda. At around 2:30 p.m., I saw my father heading for Mara's tomb. So according to common sense, if he was in enough of a hurry to not notice the spilled water, enough to walk right through it, then clearly he left later than 2:30, I suppose, but that's not evidence. At about 2:45, I saw Barbed Head and Company enter the courtyard. I saw no one go in or out of the tomb after my father entered at about 2:30. But you should have seen Dirk enter, but I guess they're just saying. She's just saying I didn't see anyone else go in or out at around that time, I guess. So no one entered the tomb after Inga went in at about 2:30, and no one was seen leaving it either. But if the murder occurred before 3 p.m., then Rafa should have seen the killer going in or out. Well, we'll just have to try to get as much info out of her as we can. Yes, I think pushing is the thing. On the day of the murder, I was gazing upon the courtyard from my second floor veranda. Hold it! You say you'd been watching the courtyard until we arrived, correct? That seems like an awfully long time. There is much that weighs on my mind. I see. She really does sound troubled. I don't think she ever fully recovered from the previous trial. Your benevolence. As Crown Princess, you are destined to rule this kingdom one day. That means there will be many things that you alone must determine. Things like how to keep your people happy, and what is true and what is false. And most importantly, what role you must play therein. I wonder if I am even up to the task. I guess it's not easy being a princess. Your benevolence? I'd be happy to lend an ear if you'd ever like to talk. She seems less than impressed. What would you know of my woes? Do not presume to exceed your station in life. Sheesh. Teenagers. You tried to be nice, I guess. Your benevolence, what did you witness from your veranda? Well, around 2:30 p.m., I saw my father heading for Mara's tomb. Hold it! How was he acting at the time? Did your father seem different or troubled in any way? Let me think. Oh, there was one unusual thing. Please! There was? Yes, a shriek emanated from within my father's quarters. What? How could you forget that? After which I witnessed him bolt outside, his countenance drained of his usual color. He screamed and was looking pale? What do you suppose happened? I know not. Perhaps he had a bad dream. Maybe it was a nightmare about being raked over the coals by the queen. I'll take things we shouldn't have said out loud for 500, Alex. It seems our young lawyer here wishes to hasten his journey to the Twilight Realm. Sorry. That was rude of me.
Does the defense believe the witness's last statement to be important?
I believe it is. I would like the witness to add it to her testimony. I mean, it's no harm. She testified. Put it in the testimony. What's the harm? Why would we not? My father let out a scream and came dashing out of his room, his face pale. Hold it! And why do you think he screamed? Was he surprised by someone who didn't belong there? Did anyone else come out? I didn't see anyone else, just my father. That last statement was seriously lacking in conviction. Should I press her on this? Be nice and leave it be, press softly. Let's press softly, shall we? Your benevolence. Yes? This incident was a real shock to us all. It must have been really terrible for you. But I want to let you know, I know how you feel. Please, stop. You presume too much. It's times like these that you need something to take your mind off things. How about we all go on a picnic together or something? I need no sympathy from you. Go on your little picnic alone, hornhead. Well, that didn't go well. Apollo, you have to take a more aggressive approach with people like her. Yeah, he's probably right. Now, back to my testimony. She's like her super traumatized 14-year-old. All right, if you say so, game. Press harshly. Your benevolence! Let's have some details. The more the better. Details, you say? Yes. For example, are you sure you didn't see anyone in the royal residence before 2:30? Well, is that a yes or a no? Ah! Foreign devil! I've been gazing upon the courtyard since about 2 yesterday, yet I saw none other than my father. Oh, if only I had stopped him then. I think you struck a nerve, or rather, obliterated one. Maybe I pressed a little too hard? That's important, though. The last statement seemed a little off because they didn't see anyone at 2 when we should have seen someone at 2. Should have seen Shadow at the very least. So you didn't see anyone except your father in the courtyard after 2 p.m., huh? Please add that to your testimony here, Benevolence. Because you probably should have also seen Albie go to retrieve the dog. I had been gazing upon the courtyard since about 2, but the father was the only one I saw. That kind of sucks that you have to shout at her for that. After we just were all like, Khura'In, you shouldn't push her too hard. And then we're just like, fucking answer me! But we should be able to put Albie's statement here, right? Again, it's a statement, not evidence, but this should work. Objection! Your Benevolence. You're covering for someone, aren't you? Huh? I don't know what you're talking about. Sorry, Rafa, but you're not gonna like this. Well, the thing is, I have a statement here that you might find interesting. It's from a witness who claims that around 2 p.m. his dog got loose and ran into the palace courtyard. I guess she's doing this to try and keep him from being found guilty somehow. Or maybe, or maybe she's protecting Nena, I guess. That's when the little fellow stole this hat from someone. That's Nena's! I mean, nothing! Never mind!
You fool of a daughter.
It seems the princess made a blunder. So let me get this straight. This is Nena's hat, which means she had to have been in the royal residence at around 2. If so, then you had to have seen Nena sometime after 2 p.m. yesterday. No! Please, Your Benevolence, tell us what you really saw. It is as you say, Hornhead. I saw Nena. And I saw that dingbat dog steal her hat from her in front of my father's residence. I knew it. Why didn't you say so in the first place? Because, my mother told me not to. What? Would you care to explain, Your Eminence? I requested she withhold said information, for it is of no relevance to this case. Objection! You don't get to decide. Such insolence! If you disagree, then prove that it is relevant to the case at hand. No, I will. Your Benevolence, please tell us everything you witnessed when you saw Nena. Ooh, boy. All right. When I saw that dingbat dog attack Nena, I ran to help. I raced from my second floor veranda down into the courtyard. Wait, that means that while you were coming down, you took your eyes off the courtyard. Yes, but only for a moment. This is crucial testimony. If you took your eyes off the courtyard, it means somebody else could have entered the tomb without you ever knowing. Your Benevolence, are you sure no one else was there? Oh, yes. She's hiding something again. What about Nena? Were you able to help her? When I got down to the courtyard, Nena was already gone. She was gone. Gone? Yes, and I never saw her again after that. Any idea what happened? That dingbat dog must have gobbled her up! I seriously doubt that. But how could Nena simply disappear while Rafa wasn't looking? Rafa must know something. The only question is what? Why Shadow was in the courtyard where Nena disappeared to why Nena disappeared. At least they're not giving me but my health here, because it could be any one of these three. We have it. That seems to suggest that Shadow was, quote, a dog of the Khura'In regime, because he obviously wasn't saying that to Albie since he was just trying to recruit him. Where Nena disappeared to? Why Nena disappeared. I guess that's the most likely one. Let's try why Nena disappeared. Why do you suppose Nena disappeared? Even an educated guess would help. For example? Maybe she got fed up with you acting like a spoiled child. You know, something like that. That's enough! Such impudence! Nena would not leave me merely for acting spoiled. You're not even gonna deny your behavior? In any case, it seems I was wrong. Moving right along. Why Shadow was in the courtyard? Do you have any idea why that dog was in the courtyard? No. She brushed that off real quick. Could you please think a little harder? Those puppy dog eyes will not help me recall something I know nothing about, Hornhead. Very well, I was very wrong. Puppy dog eyes. Oh, Paulo, we already know the answer to your question, remember? Oh, right. And it really has nothing to do with the case. No, we don't. Alby told us that Dad thought his dog was a member of the Khura'In regime. Alright, fine, where Nana disappeared to, but okay. Do you have any idea where Nana disappeared to? What do you mean? Well, during the time you took your eyes off the courtyard, someone could have headed into the tomb, and it just so happens that Nana disappeared right at that moment. Yeah, but... I mean, she just testified she didn't see where she went, so why would we just ask this again? No! Wait, you think Nana had something to do with the murder? I don't think we can rule it out. It sounds like something that kept Nana occupied since the early morning. I kind of thought that was like such an obvious implication that, of course, that would be a stupid question to ask, because she just said, I don't know where Nana went, and we were going to get at, so she could have gone to the tomb. But we were supposed to say, she was like, I don't know where Nana went, and she's like, and we're like, do you know where she went? And she's like, no, and we're like, aha, the tomb! That was really weird, okay? Plus, she was seen right before the murder and then seemed to vanish into thin air. You're right. And since she's Rafa's attendant, she could come and go as she pleased within the palace grounds. Could Rafa's attendant really be the killer? But that would mean... First my father and now Nana. These were the people I trusted most. How could this be?
Objection! Do not heed their lies. Lawyers are a foul breed, quick to claim that a third party is to blame for a crime. Nana did not enter the tomb, that much is certain.
How can you be so sure?
When Nana's hat was stolen, that crazed cur spilled an urn full of water upon my husband's doorstep. Is that not right, Rafa?
Yes. Yes, it is.
While that dingbat dog was tugging on Nana's hat, it tipped over the urn. The bottoms of her shoes would have been soaked with water. And if she had truly headed into the tomb with wet shoes, she would have left shoe prints along the way. But the only shoe prints to be found belonged to my husband, Inga. That's not true. There were shoe prints inside.
Huh? Then...
That's right. Nana never did go into the tomb that day. Instead, she entered my husband's private quarters.
Yeah. How do you know?
It's quite simple. The footprints going in there. Yes. No, I know, but... That's worse for you, Garon, because the attendant went in and then did not clean up a mess. That means she was doing something else sketchy there. Shoe prints were discovered in Inga's private quarters. Shoe prints that belonged to Nana.
That's right, Edgeworth and I did see some shoe prints in there.
Now do you understand? Nana could not possibly have gone into the tomb.
What? I mean... What do you mean to say, Ace Attorney Spirit of Justice?
Oh, well, I guess what they're getting at is that Nana wouldn't have had enough time to go in there, discard her shoes, and then run to the tomb before Rafa would have seen. But the scene, as we understand it, is Rafa went down to help Nana. Nana goes into the Inga's residence. Rafa doesn't see her after that, heads back up to the veranda. Sometime later, a shriek is heard from inside Inga's room, and then Inga comes running out. And we're supposed to think this is bad for our case somehow. Like, what are you talking about, Garon? Nana could not possibly have gone into the tomb, and that supposed third person at the crime scene is but a figment of your imagination. Under the glorious deduction, all hail the genius that is Her Eminence Queen Garon! Bow down before her glory, witless lawyer! Urdi Hara! Garon!
Could those guys fanboy any harder? But is it really true? Did Nana not go into the tomb?
Excuse me, but...
Mr. Wright?
Your benevolence, what time was it when that dog attacked Nana?
I believe it was about 2:15 p.m.
I see. Apollo, if Nana entered Inga's private quarters at around 2:15 and Inga came racing out at around 2:30, pale-faced and screaming, then...
I know what you're getting at. Yes, that might explain his scream.
Would the defense please share their theory regarding Justice Minister Inga's scream?
Certainly, Your Majesty. She just said she heard a shriek, right? Not his, but I guess you would be able to tell the difference. Minister Inga screamed because he had a bad dream. He was attacked by Nana. He saw a ghost. Nana seems like the most likely thing. Maybe he was attacked by Nana. This would make the Justice Minister's private quarters the real scene of the crime.
Objection. Does your idiocy know no bounds? The minister's body was found in the tomb. Are you suggesting that the body was moved?
Do I think the minister was moved from his private quarters? I think the possibility... Well, they wouldn't have let me get this far if there wasn't a possibility, so I think it has to exist. Well, it seems unlikely since Rafa said she saw him going out, but... If there are all these notes on other disguises, I mean... If someone was wearing his outfit, maybe you'd be fooled. I'm not losing health for this anyway, so sure, the possibility exists. Considering the fact that the body was found in the tomb, I'd say there is a possibility.
What utter nonsense! Rafa had been watching the courtyard. Yet you would suggest that someone could have transported the body unnoticed?
You have a point there. In that case, I'd say there's no way that the body was moved. After all, there was an awful lot of blood in the tomb.
I understand if the scream was in reaction to Nina's attack, but Inga died in the tomb.
We need to explain how those two realities could coincide. How are we supposed to do that? Oh, maybe where he was stabbed and where he died were two completely different locations.
What do you mean?
It's just, let's look at this as simply as possible. If the minister's body wasn't moved, he might have been stabbed by Nina in his private quarters, phrasing, but then died in the tomb.
I see. On the one hand, that seems plausible, but on the other, it seems decidedly implausible. Prosecutor Sadmati, what is that fool babbling on about now? Is this a riddle from one of those fortune cookies Americans seem so fond of?
Ah, perhaps. But I believe he himself does not know what he means to say. In all likelihood, it was a poor attempt to confuse us. We should simply ignore him.
Objection!
I wasn't finished yet, so hold off on the analysis, would you? The autopsy report never stated that the minister's death was instantaneous, so he could have conceivably moved from one place to another after being stabbed and then bled out, right?
Oh my, are you suggesting he ran all the way to the tomb with a knife sticking out of his back?
Well, yes, that's the gist of it.
In short, Minister Inga saw Nina with a knife, let out a scream, and when he turned his back to her to flee...
Right, and that's when he was stabbed from behind.
I'm glad that didn't make me lose health on that, because that was one of like a few things that scream could have meant.
Well, Your Majesty, does my theory hold water?
Such insolence! How dare you bore me like this?
Huh?
You are a humorless moron spewing an endless stream of unamusing drivel.
I wasn't trying to be funny, Your Eminence.
Prosecutor, enlighten this ignorant clown in lawyer's clothing.
Your Eminence.
Ah! Not this again.
Naita!
You dull, slow-witted, putrid-minded lawyer. Perhaps you would be too stupid to notice you had been stabbed in the back, but a normal person would have noticed due to the excruciating pain.
Now hold on!
Allow me to teach you the meaning of pain.
Ah! Please stop!
Yuta has a point. I won't help you get those off or anything. Normally most people would notice a dagger in their back. Unless you'd injected some painkillers in there, I guess.
Ow! Yeah, I doubt someone could ignore pain like this.
Still, in this case, it's the word normally that we should emphasize. Apollo, take another look at the court record.
Right. There must be something that explains this.
There's a reason Inga didn't feel any pain, and the defense will submit evidence proving just that. Very well, please present your evidence. Why didn't Justice Minister Inga notice that he had been stabbed? That would be because of this, Your Honor.
Take that! Ah! Those are my father's painkiller shots.
The defense will explain the significance of this evidence.
Minister Inga suffered from terrible back pain, so he often injected himself with these. We're told that one shot in the back would make all his pain go away. With this, it's easy to explain what happened. Don't tell me you didn't know about these, Your Eminence.
You can't mean...
Minister Inga was stabbed in his back close to where he usually injected the painkiller. Therefore, it's entirely possible that he hadn't noticed he'd been stabbed.
What's this?
As expected, I didn't see that coming. Because I didn't really understand I didn't really understand how any of this evidence came together cohesively before this trial, so that's why I said upon entering we just had to roll with the punches, because I don't have a picture of what happened, because it's clear there are going to be so many twists that it's almost not worth trying, with the sheer amount of evidence and it being a final case and all.
Then, are you suggesting Justice Minister Inga really ran off with a knife protruding from his back?
I am, Your Majesty. So then, when I saw my father, he had a knife sticking out of him. I mean, with that cape of his, I couldn't see his back very well. Yes, the knife was there. It was just plunged in so deep you didn't notice it under the cape. Therefore, when you saw your father, he was already dead. Murdered by Nana in his private quarters. Makaka! Seems a good argument so far, but it's too good to be true.
Holy mother of Khura'In, are we dealing with the living dead here?
Well, technically he wasn't dead yet. I know it's hard to believe, but this is a plausible sequence of events. Once Minister Urga'id arrived at the tomb, he could have removed the knife and dropped dead from blood loss. Nina killed my father? There must be some mistake. The defense would like to call Nina to the stand. Objection. You seek to drag an innocent old woman to the stand with no proof whatsoever. Well, there's no real proof, but... What a tangled web of expedient lies you weave. I can no longer tell fact from fiction. Who or what shall I believe in now? I'm sorry, Rafa. All I've done is confuse you, but I have a sneaking suspicion Nina's involved in this case, one way or another. Just when I thought we'd blown this case wide open. Well, there's no turning back now. It's worth at least hearing your testimony. You fool of a lawyer. I know why you're so desperate to prove the accused innocent. You do? Yes, because he faces public execution if proven guilty, as shall you under the stipulations of the Defense Culpability Act. Yeah, but if I were that worried about that, I wouldn't have tried defending him in the first place. From the moment you accepted this case, you have had no choice but to fight for your lives. No. The simple fact is I've always believed that Dirk is innocent. Ah, still you cling to your pretense? Very well, I shall offer you a bargain. If you would admit the accused is guilty right here, right now, I shall overlook your crime of abetting him, as you will not be subject to execution. Is this some sort of joke? Far from it. As Queen, I have the power to grant pardons even to criminals like you. And with the wave of my hand, I can even reduce the severity of a sentence. Perhaps even for Dirk, should you be willing to cooperate. She wasn't kidding when she said that she's the law here. But to flaunt that power in our faces like that, that's just wrong. Forget all that has transpired in our kingdom and return to your own country in peace. Well, will you abandon your defense of the accused and accept my generous offer? If I don't take the seal, we'll be executed along with Dirk if he's found guilty. What should I do? Come on now! I won't be scared so easily. The only reason she would suddenly offer a bargain like that is if we were getting close to the truth. Nice try, Garon, but it looks like you don't know what justice is made of. We won't kowtow to threats like that, Your Eminence. Mr. Wright, I'm sorry, but I can't back down now. I don't want to drag you into this, so don't worry. I'm with you, Apollo. To the bitter end if need be. And while I can't say I'm used to it, this isn't exactly my first rodeo. But if I'm found guilty, you'll get the death penalty too. Even knowing that, you still want to defend me? I don't know what happened in the past. It looks like everyone in this country considers lawyers to be liars. So I can understand if you don't believe me, but I still believe in you and your innocence. So all I have to do is keep believing and find the truth. That's all there is to it. So keep on fighting, Apollo. You'll hear no objections from me. You nincompoops! You'll die if you lose this case! Why would you even entertain the notion of continuing? I believe that Dirk is innocent, that's why. And besides, trials exist to give the truth a chance to get out in the open. You can't give up just because you're afraid of some punishment. Even if that punishment is death? Does that not frighten you, Hornhead? Who wouldn't be scared? I mean, just thinking about it, makes me weak in the knees, to be honest. But as a lawyer, I have a duty to protect my client. I can't just abandon that. A duty you're willing to die for. And yet Duty. It's a heavy burden, all right. Rafa looks like he's really struggling. It's like the 6th time we flash back to this one shot in like the past case. Your benevolence. As Crown Princess, you're destined to rule this kingdom one day. That means there'll be many things that you alone must determine. Things like how to keep your people happy, and what is true and what is false. And most importantly, what role you must play therein. I wonder if I am even up to the task. It's no surprise, considering the torrent of painful truths she's had to face.
Very well then. If the defense is prepared to face the death sentence under the Defense Culpability Act, then I see no reason not to continue with the proceedings. But I must admit, I see no grounds for doubting the accused's guilt.
Unless the defense has further evidence that would indicate a different suspect? Sorry, are we not going to have Nina testify? Thought we were kind of on the path to that. Good golly, would you look at the time? It's already time for the end of this episode. I was so caught up in everything. Okay, it's been a very, very wobbly start. I've been very off on a lot of things, but at least we've only lost 1 health so far. Only lost 1 health, and we've gotten through 2 or 3 testimonies and a few multiple choice portions. We've definitely done worse in cases before. I would say we did worse in the previous case, if I'm honest. I don't think there was a single cross-exam where we didn't mess up in the previous case, was there? Maybe 1. Or 2. Ooh, that's all for now. Next week on the channel is going to be the Skyworld Bachelor, another video in the multiversal Bachelor series I've been doing, which if you're unfamiliar is where I go and rank the dateability of a bunch of characters from a game. This time with the Skyworld Bachelor, we'll be doing Kid Icarus Uprising. On that point, once we finish this 6th game, I could do one for Ace Attorneys 1 to 6. That would be fun. That'd be a pretty long video. I can already tell you're not going to rate too high, Khura'In, because you obviously care about that so much. That's all for now, though. Next, I already told you what next video on the channel is. That's all for now. Thank you so very much for coming around. Hopefully, I'll see you around. Admiral's going to be out of here now. Peace! Have a different one. Have some s'mores, Aubrey, and some candy, and a granola bar, and just everything, you know. Slice of life. Funny it says this is to be shared with a friend, but it doesn't seem to have any kind of effect on multiple units or anything. Just some nice flavor text, I suppose. Nope, not 2. We're not doing 2. That's more like it. Oh, again, I probably should.